There's a common misconception that rabid wildlife exists solely in rural parts of the country, far away from the hustle and the bustle of urban and suburban life. Unfortunately, the existence of rabid animals is likely closer to home than you may think. Joining us today is Dr. Richard Ford, Emeritus Professor at North Carolina State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, to talk about the threat of rabies and how to protect our pets. Dr. Ford, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Mike.
Rabies. I feel like we kind of all know what rabies is, but can you tell us exactly what rabies is?
Well, Mike, rabies is something we've all heard of, especially if you're a pet owner. But interestingly, very few people really understand that it is, in fact, alive and well. In fact, in the world today, I think over 150 countries, including the United States, still have rabies. So it's a very real disease, and the concern that we have from the veterinary medical public health profession, 60,000 people a year are believed to die from rabies. Well, it's a significant issue. There is no treatment for it, and the intriguing thing is 99% of the rabies-associated deaths in people are transmitted from domestic dogs.
Wow. Okay, rabies, rare in the United States. Why is it important to be aware of it?
Well, every human and pet is vulnerable. We're all susceptible if we're exposed. And the problem is, Mike, while the incidence in the United States for human rabies is really quite low, the consequences are really quite high. People infected with rabies rarely survive. So it's a significant issue. I think it's something that we all need to be aware of, particularly with regard to our friends here, as the critical link between infected wildlife, which you certainly have in Nebraska, and humans.
Well, just how real is the threat of rabies in the United States today?
That's a good question. The data suggests that about 1 to 2 people a year actually die of rabies. And most of these people, this is over the last several years, have been exposed generally to rabid bats. And you certainly have bats in Nebraska, skunk as well as fox. So the issue is, and I think a lot of people let this slip, is that about 6,000 animals are confirmed to have rabies in the United States each year. And that includes dogs and cats. Now, one of the issues is, the irony here, is that there's much more cat rabies than there is dog rabies. And the reason? People tend to vaccinate their dogs more than they do their cats. So vaccination becomes important.
Yeah, but it makes it preventable, doesn't it? Rabies is preventable?
It is not treatable, but it is preventable. In fact, very preventable. And part of the rabies awareness initiative that we're launching nationally includes a program sponsored by Marielle, which is one of the leading rabies manufacturers for rabies vaccines in the United States. Good Night Rabies is a program intended to increase awareness of everybody, but certainly pet owners, on the importance of having a pet dog or a cat vaccinated against rabies. In fact, there is a website. It's vaccinateyourpet.net, and it gives a lot of information on the relevance of rabies, where to get vaccinated against rabies. In fact, it's the law. So we really encourage that whole process.
Yeah, and that website is pretty easy to remember. It was vaccinateyourpet.net. Is that what it was?
That's right, Mike.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll send our viewers there because I know there's a lot more information out there that we couldn't get to here today. Dr. Ford, thanks for your time today.
You bet, Mike.
All righty.